Hi, and welcome to a fun little bonus episode in my series about the Pyara region, a FAKEMON region inspired by Pakistan. I've been working on FAKEMON for a long time, like, a long time. And a question I get occasionally is, are you planning on putting these into a game? And my answer has typically been no. But since I've started working on this channel, I've realised how much fun learning new skills can be. So you know what? Yes, I do want to make an Dex ROM hack at some point. But that's easier said than done. And you've got to walk before you can run when it comes to learning any skill. With that in mind, I thought, hey, a dear friend of mine worked on a very mod-friendly game. That's as good a place to start as any. So here's a process of how I put some Pyara region characters into Dr. Robotnik's ring races. I've used GIMP for all the art I've shown on this channel so far. For these sprites, I use a different program called Sprite. It took a bit of getting used to, but I've also been doing sprite work since I've had access to a computer, so it wasn't too hard to get the hang of things. As you can see from this footage, I started with the basic ring racer template, drawing out a very rough turnaround on a sketch layer before cleaning up the sketch in another layer. Ring Racers has a very distinctive art style, with no internal outlines and avoiding pure black, which provided an interesting challenge to me because I love using thick black lines in my regular art. It was also an interesting experience to add shading and highlights without using layers, and the artistic process here felt more painterly than most of my usual work. Adapting the Pyara region trainers and starters to fit in ring racers was another fun creative challenge since, and this may shock you, I didn't actually design these Pokemon characters to fit comfortably in go-karts. The humans weren't too hard. The main challenge there was getting the more intricate parts of their outfits right, and chibifying them to fit in with the rest of the humanoid ring racers. But the Pokemon needed more creative workarounds. Tricada is basically a head with stubby arms and legs, so I had to cheat the proportions a little to get it behind the wheel of its cart. I couldn't get the arms around the wheel, but don't worry about that. If a Goober can drive a cart, so can Tricada. And I gave it some extra range in its head movement to really sell the turning and drifting. Kidnat is usually on all fours, so I had to put a lot of thought into how a goat would drive a go-kart, and consider how its design would work in a more 3D space to convey the core visuals of the design, even at these unusual angles. Squink is the only Pyara starter with an upright posture and long arms, so it was comparatively straightforward to fit into a cart. The main challenge here was getting its distinctive, slightly conical head shape right, and using shading to differentiate its tentacles. Once I had finished the basic turnaround, I split the sprites into head and body layers and copied and pasted different variations of the head and body sprites to create versions of the characters as drifting, looking back, and spinning out after being hit. I'd highly recommend doing that if you plan on making any Ring Racers mods. From there, I added a special sprite for when your character dies, icons for the select screen and minimap, and signposts for when you get first place. After doing the sprite work you can see here, I went back in and edited each sprite to replace one of their main colours with the cart's green, making a paintable region to facilitate the different colour options. If you want to make your own mods, I definitely advise you to start putting in the paintable regions as you're working on the sprite rather than waiting until you're done. It'll save you a lot of time. I'd also recommend using the game's palette as you draw, to save you from continually tweaking things after the fact. After the sprites were done, it was time to record the various voice lines. Each racer needs 11 audio files, so between the player characters and starters, I recorded a total of 55 clips. I don't have any footage of me recording the lines, but you can take it from me that it was a very dignified process and I looked very cool doing it. Once the sprites and audio lines were all done, I used Ring Racer's built-in cart maker to create the mods, editing the provided templates and modifying each racer's stats, default colours and rivals. This created 5 .wad files I could put into Ring Racers individually, but to make things a little easier, I also took the extra step of putting all 5 races into a single .pk3 file, which I've included in the description below. If you want to try these add-ons for yourself, all you need to do is download the Pyara pack and drag it into the add-ons folder. And that's it. I'll show off some footage of the Pyara characters in action, along with my thoughts on Ring Racers itself. A sequel to 2018's SRB2 cart, Dr. Robotnik's Ring Racers is set in an alternate universe where a penitent Dr. Robotnik, having turned over a new leaf following the events of Sonic Adventure 2, teams up with Tails to develop a new, clean energy source. And what better place to test their invention than in some go-karts? Ring Racers is mechanically dense and immensely ambitious, something which is perhaps most apparent in this lengthy tutorial, which is necessary to get to the meat and potatoes of the racing, unless you're willing to prove yourself with a very tough race. However, this mechanical complexity never becomes overwhelming, and the various features and mechanics become intuitive very quickly. In particular, the mechanics around the titular rings are very engaging. You can use rings for a speed boost, but doing so may leave you open for attack. The tutorial is also really fun. The banter between Eggman and Tails is charming, and the puzzles are a great way to acclimate yourself to how the game works. In fact, I'd honestly be down for a single player campaign as all tutorials, Splatoon style. But what of the races? Well, I'm glad you asked. Every one of Ring Racer's tracks, There are a lot of tracks. It's a visual spectacle, dripping with style and lovely rendered in that distinctive retro aesthetic. But you didn't need me to tell you that. There's a little something from every era of Sonic here, pulling from all sorts of aesthetics and providing some truly deep cuts, including a stage that's a reference to an old Sonic popcorn machine. Sonic games also have some great music, and Ring Races follow suit with a wide variety of banging tracks, ensuring every race is candy for the eyes and ears. Each track does a fantastic job in offering a fun, kinetic experience for all players, while also providing plenty of ways for more experienced players to test their mettle. There's a very high skill ceiling, but casual players won't be left in the dust. That's a difficult needle to thread, but the Kart Crew dev have done so brilliantly here. There are also loads of different playstyles between all the speed and weight variations, providing tons of variability. There are a few tracks where you can get a bit turned around, but those are few and far between enough that it doesn't get in the way too much. If you just want to take in the gorgeous sights and have a nice drive, the relaxed difficulty is a perfect option, with just enough challenge from your designated rival that is still a little tension, but mostly allowing you to drink in the experience. You can also turn CPUs off in the match race mode if you really want to vibe. If you're looking for a little more than that, the intense difficulty genuinely has hands. It's a much faster and more chaotic experience, letting you really sink your teeth into some challenging races. Whatever your pace, Ring Races has you covered, and importantly, there's something fun for you to do on every difficulty. If it isn't already clear enough, I've absolutely loved playing Dr. Robotnik's Ring Races. It's a massive love letter to Sega, kart racing, and video games as a whole, and a very clear labour of love. This game was made with so much passion, and that permeates every part of its design, from the visuals to the mechanics to the maps. Whether you're a kart racing pro or a complete newbie, I cannot recommend Ring Races enough, and I'd also recommend downloading the Pyara pack for the best characters in the game. Right, that's all for this episode. I want to give some massive thanks to my lovely friend Vic, who, as I said at the beginning of this episode, worked on Ring Races as part of Kart Crew Dev, and was a big help with ironing out these mods. She's one of my favourite people in the whole world, and you should definitely give her a follow on Blue Sky if you're on there. While I've got you, just a cheeky reminder about my Pyara DLC contest. At the time this video comes out, you'll still have 7 weeks to get an entry in, but I thought I'd put another reminder here so people don't forget. As a reminder of the rules, you need to design either a new evolution, or evolutions, or a convergent counterpart to any Pokemon in the all-made decks, except starters or legendaries. Get your entries in by September 1st, 2026 via Blue Sky, Tumblr, Instagram, or email. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you next time.
Bomb!